So I just wanted to review and cover some last steps in order to help you with your homework, which you do have a lot of over the weekend, right? You have to do your annotated bibliography, you need to have 10 quotes, and you need to have a preliminary thesis because you're going to be writing the first two paragraphs of your essay, and all of this is due next week. So these are some steps I created here. So step one would be to review what you wrote in your essay plan and make a final decision about which prompt you will write about for this essay. You want to create a list of key terms, possibly 10, and it's okay to use synonyms, so words that mean the same thing, in order to put into the database so you have a pool of words to make combinations with, because many different academic writers will use different terms to talk about the same subject. For example, Black or African American, as or African American male, right, as ways to talk about just an ethnicity. Step three would be research using the library database and select two academic sources. Ideally, research allows you to decide on how you will create an argument. There's a typo here. On how you will create an argument, right? As you're researching, you'll find things on the topic. It'll give you ideas. Then maybe if you find an article you really like, then that article will then be like what you bounce from, to look for something else, or start getting your gears going to creating the argument and answering the prompt. So that's why it's important that you research first before you do anything else. And then obviously you have to have your research done in order to create the annotated bibliography. So you're going to need to read your sources and write a summary of those sources in the annotated bibliography. Once you've done steps 1 through 4, then you can go ahead and begin thinking about creating a preliminary thesis for your essay, and making sure that that thesis directly answers the prompt. I do want to remind you that with Moonlight, even though Moonlight is one of your texts, so are all of the other readings I assigned, and so are your outside sources that you're going to have to find. So Moonlight is not going to be the only subject or source of evidence in your essay, and should not be the focus of your whole essay. So for example, the assignment is not to dissect Moonlight as a film for 2,500 words. It's to talk about, masculinity and patriarchy for gay Black males, which Moonlight will be an example of, but you should have a combination of all of that from all of your sources. So that's just to clarify that. So then you're going to create the preliminary thesis. And then once you've done that, then you need to select 10 quotes from all your sources that support your thesis. Type these quotes in MLA format with citations. So that is the expected format that you need to submit those quotes in. Those quotes can be coming from all of your sources. There should be a variety, right? Again, if you choose not to cite from a quote, if you choose not to use a quote from a particular reading we had, you will be citing from all of the readings, because they should all be informing how you think about masculinity and patriarchy in our society. And then once you've done all of that, then you should be ready to begin writing. You can do anything else that you would normally do, right? These are suggested steps in the order that I think would work best to being able to be the best prepared to write the first two paragraphs of your essay. And by the first two paragraphs, I do mean, I'll go ahead and put right here, I do mean the introduction paragraph and first body paragraph. So that's going to be what you're going to do for your homework. You're going to need all of this in one single file uploaded on Canvas. And then you're going to need hard copies of that in class next week. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the library database and run you through it and kind of cover some things that maybe I didn't cover last time, but just it's going to be fairly quick going through the database one more time. So we're already on the Fullerton College Library. Go to databases. I click on EBSCOhost. I click on EBSCOhost Web up here at the top. Make sure that this box is checked. Click continue. And then I'm going to type in feminism in America. It's a suggestion. Might as well take it, which means someone is using it in the system. Feminism in America, and then do patriarchy. and I'm just going to hit search. And that only gave me 2 articles. So the same article that's coming up is the article that I gave you. So you want to make sure that you can, obviously you will be using that article, but that you find something else. So obviously this isn't working. So let's do or and hit search. And we still only got 5,000. So let's just see what happens though when we narrow this down a little more to academic journals. So we have about 1,000, which is a lot. So not all inequality is equal, deconstructing the societal logic of patriarchy to understand microfinance lending to women. I see that that could be a useful article. Sons, Daughters, and Patriarchy, Gender, and the 1968 Generation. So something to be said about what these, why I think that this one here could work is because microfinance lending to women. So in the feminism prompt, you're sort of going to pick the angles or the topics in which you want to focus on for how patriarchy and masculinity affect women, right? So if you want to talk about, for example, that women are not commonly business owners and have more difficulty being, for example, heads of corporations, moving up in the ranks, right? This might be a really good, interesting article about that, because why would there be issues lending money to women, and how does patriarchy affect that? So that's just an example of a way or an angle in which you can approach this essay. So you do have sort of a lot of room in the way that you go. So I'm just going to click on this because there's things I didn't cover, and then I won't be doing any more searches. So I'm going to click on this article in case this was something someone wanted to do. So I want to point out some things. This is important here, subject terms. So on any article you find that you think is interesting, you want to look at these, because basically these are the other terms that are being used for maybe articles that tackle similar things. So gender inequality is something that we hadn't tried. So gender inequality might be something that's really actually important. I mean, I think it would apply obviously to trans people and gender non-conforming, but gender inequality, right? Normally, or I would say, is typically used to refer to gender inequality between men and women. So I'm going to click on this, just see where it takes us. And I'm going to do academic journals. I'm going to change our year to 2000. I'll do 2010, past 7 years. So now we're down still to 1,000. Sex and gender transformation in Africa. Use of double-blind peer review to increase author diversity. Women at work, women's access to power, and the gender earnings gap. So this is something that's come up in class. So I'll just go ahead and click on this one. Okay, so now again, I want to show you, here are the words again. So if this was an article you thought you might want to use, then there are more things here that you can click on, and this is pretty important. So this is a PDF, right? Here's a PDF where you can download it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you just do this because you want to make sure that you send yourself the citation, so you're not spending time doing that later. So what you're going to want to do with these articles, you're going to want to email them to yourself. So here's the email section, click on email, and then I'll go ahead and put my email. So I put in my email. In the subject, I always highlight the title of the article and put it in the subject line. And then here, you want to click on citation format and click MLA, modern language, and go ahead and send that to yourself. So says that it sent it, click continue. So now I'm just going to go to my email, see if this, when and if and when this article arrives. Let's see. Okay, so here it is. So what I wanted to show you, the reason why I wanted to open this up, is that the citation is in the email. It says works cited. So not only does the reading come attached, there's a link to EBSCOhost, but you can just take this then and copy and paste it into your works cited page. So this is a really important step that will save you time later. I think that I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Again, you have plenty to do over the weekend and in preparation for our next class meeting. And I will see you then.